to order. First up, do we have any public comment?
No, ma'am.
Okay. First up, employee handbook supplemental policy.
All right, thank you. So first, before we start, I wanted to circle back to the last P3 meeting and ask if you had any questions or concerns or feedback on the employee handbook from last time. I just wanted to circle back around. If you don't, that's always good. Did you guys have any? No? Okay.
I don't have anything.
Okay.
No, I mean, I'm not the expert on, I mean, nothing jumped
out at
Yeah.
you. Perfect. All right, so today we're going to bring forward the supplemental policies, which are with the employee handbook. So before you do have some of the supplemental policies. Again, this is just informational item. We have a total of 15 supplemental policies. 3 of them are new. Our new policies are the telecommuting policy, the personal protective equipment policy, and the diversity, equity, and inclusion policy. We do have one policy that is, well, we have 3 policies that are not included in here, and that is because they are still in progress. The supplemental number 7 is missing, and that's the travel policy. So it's gone through all edits, except now it's with the CFO's office. So as soon as he gives the stamp of approval, then that will be ready to go. We're missing the supplement number 10, and that's the FML policy. We've received it back from legal. We need to send it to the Employees Association leadership to get their approval because we have some changes. Mostly that policy, we had to update outdated legal language. So we had to make sure all of our definitions were updated. So that's basically for that FML. And then the last one that's not in there is number 15, and that is the fraud policy. Our fraud policy is currently as a resolution. And so we're taking the resolution and we're turning it into an actual policy. And so that will be submitted. All of these will be ready to go. We're going to bring it to full board the first meeting in November. So you'll have the handbook and all the supplements. The changes for the policies that you do have in front of you, we expanded the discrimination policy to include retaliation and harassment. The tuition reimbursement policy, we changed from approval and reimbursement from a B grade to a C grade, so we dropped it down. Also, the information technology policy, we included artificial intelligence information in it. And so that one is, those are the changes that we've made with the current policies that you guys have. I can go over if you guys have any questions, but basically those are all of our personnel handbook policies and our supplements.
If there's any concerns that come up or questions, you can go ahead and then just email the general manager's office and CC Denise on it, and then we'll reply to those, especially if something jumps out at you.
Okay.
So one of the things that we did with the AI policy, we kept it kind of open and generic. Some agencies have said just a hard line no. We're not saying no. We think there's some advantages to it, but it's still going through kind of almost like an IT scrubbing on how to use it. But
Yes.
as far as informational use and stuff, it's open. And then as that technology becomes, I guess, more mature, so to speak, which is happening faster and faster, then there may be more opportunities. So the policy allows us to take advantage of it as appropriate, but it goes through kind of a process to do that.
One recommendation on that I'm seeing in the private sector is that any AI related generated material should be labeled as draft AI generated or draft partially AI generated, just so it needs to be reviewed 100% by a human before it moves forward anywhere else.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. What's the number for the AI supplement?
That would be number 15. Now,
No,
we don't have it in here yet.
the AI supplement is in there. It's a part of
Oh.
the information technology.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
it's
it's
number,
did we put it in
I
there?
think it's number 4 or number 2.
Number 2 is
Internet and electronic communication
Yes.
systems policy?
Sorry, yes.
It's the 4th page.
yeah, we added it to it.
All right. Okay. So I would like to connect you with a couple of people. So I went to the Region 9 Aqua meeting that was held in Temecula a few weeks ago. It was all about workforce development. And there were a couple of people there. There was a panel that was really interesting, and they were talking about looking at job descriptions that are put forward whenever you're soliciting for someone to apply for a position.
Correct.
And making sure that those are inclusive. And I'm not saying that you, of course, have not done this, but these people were experts, so I thought, maybe there's some learnings that can be had by talking with those folks. So I'll just connect you by email to one of those people that was on the panel. Just to check the box. Maybe you've already done everything that she was recommending that you do. Secondly, I've been in touch with the Palmer College Rising Scholars Program.
Okay.
This is an ongoing collaboration that I'm hoping that we can bring forward. And in talking with some of their leadership, and we've talked about this in the past, that when we talk about hiring someone who's formerly incarcerated, it's on a case-by-case basis, of course. We have to make sure that, maybe whatever it is that they were incarcerated for doesn't have exact bearing on the job that they will be doing. And that, that's a conversation that we can have. But they had some recommendations too about making sure that the applications are inclusive so that people could at least apply. And so I'd like to bring that into the conversation as well. And maybe we can have that conversation and make sure that we're being inclusive so that people who have paid their debt to society, we can help them have a second chance, because I believe they deserve a second chance. So
Part of our DIE policy that we have, we are already doing a lot of those tasks and those responsibilities. We're making sure that, when we send our applications out for management to be reviewing them, we redact names, where they live, where they've gotten their schooling. We redact a lot of things. That way we give that candidate a fair shake when their application's getting viewed, because we are truly looking to make sure that their skill level matches what we are looking for. So we are very, very focused on looking at what their skill is when we are going through this to be inclusive, and so we're not making sure that we're screening people out that actually are good to go.
Okay.
So yeah, absolutely, sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead and send the emails out, and we touch base and just double check everything, so appreciate it.
Okay.
With the employee handbook and supplemental policies, we're gonna go ahead and work through the employees association, hopefully get minor comments, work through BBK on a couple items, and then have it ready we're shooting for the first meeting in November. We had the second meeting in November, it gets stalled up. And then really the intent is to have it finalized and move forward so we have an actual working employee handbook and documentation go on. Because right now, it's kind of a hodgepodge. We're
Some is
applying
approved.
everything, we're applying everything, but this is really the right way to do it.
Got it. And then where does this live online afterwards?
So we put it on.
It's posted on the public website, and then it's also available on the internet for internal.
Got it. It's just like a giant PDF or? Okay.
Yeah, and I'm working on creating at least bookmarks and
Yeah.
stuff
Yeah.
within that,
Cool.
and doing that.
And
These
this
PDFs
will-
are searchable.
Yes, it should be searchable, and it's gonna look cleaner than what you've received,
Sure.
so you won't have pen writing in corners.
Yeah.
We'll make sure, and the supplements may not exactly match the numbers that you have now, because once we actually formulate and get everything lined up, it might adjust numbers and things, so.
But the content.
It will be the same,
It's gonna be the same.
Yeah.
That's what there's a table of contents for.
Yeah.
People can look it up. Okay. This is a lot of work, and thank you for doing this. I know that this has been a work in progress for a long period of time, so I hope you
We're almost done.
done.
We can't wait.
Since 2018.
So how do we, so this is the first time we've had sort of an overhaul of an employee handbook, correct?
Yeah.
How do we incentivize employees to read it?
So we do a roadshow. So once we get this approved by board, then Bridget and I will be doing either, scheduling one where we go over all the top, all the areas that we've updated and what those changes look like, kind of like the executive summary we did for you guys. We'll do the same thing, and we'll probably do a roadshow where we have everybody so they can ask questions, because you really want people to understand what they're reading, and I really, really encourage people to ask questions so we can have that open dialogue to make sure we're all on the same page. So we'll do some sort of a roadshow.
And we're working in advance, we have quarterly meetings with the association leadership, so we've been having, this is one of the open dialogue communications. And then in my monthly meetings with the different groups, I do work which with each supervisor group once a month and for lunch. There's a kind of laundry list of items that I give them an update on, and this is one of those items in that list. They kind of tell me it's coming, there's education, we're working with the association, these are the primary changes and here's why, so.
Okay,
It's been actually a very positive thing, even though we're so outdated, because it's caused a lot of conversations, which are good,
that's great.
so.
And the employee association has been involved, it sounds like from the beginning.
Yeah, it's through all the
Yeah,
rounds.
matter of fact, the first round, human resources, both Denise and Bridget already met with their outside rep, and they have a Mike Powell.
Powell.
Okay. So met with them already to go over the changes, and it was very
It was
positive.
very positive, yeah, he's very happy with he didn't have any
Substantive
Is
changes.
he,
Yeah.
is he their legal representative?
Yeah, it's their employee rep, they pay for his representation to help them out with, like these sort of things, or if there's discipline or anything else, because, because the employees, they're not human resource experts, they're not law, they're not employment law experts, so that's what they use, so.
Do they have to vote on it?
On the handbook? I don't think so.
I don't think they
That's
vote on
ultimately
it.
their decision on how they handle it.
Yeah,
I think in the past it has not been voted on.
we give them a timeline that we need it back by, and then they do what they do with their group.
They voted on the MOU, and as long as the handbook is consistent with the MOU, there shouldn't be a crowd, but they can still choose to vote on it, but their vote doesn't have any bearing on us.
Whether it's on.
Yeah.
But again, we want that buy-in, so we
Sure.
want to make sure that we are addressing everybody.
Okay, any other comments?
Well, I'm a little concerned about the telecommute policy. It seems that, this is something that came into play in COVID and it's been in the private sector significantly drawn back on as we learned a lot of serendipitous positive work comes from collaborating in person. And that doesn't happen when you're at home. So I also think it brings animosity between certain employees that can't work from home, such as field operations. So I'm open for a dialogue on that. It seems that maybe there's a healthier balance that can continue to meet closer to what the private sector has realigned itself with there, just for the overall efficiency of the workplace here.
Director, look at that. If you have any questions or concerns, definitely let us know, because we did completely revamp that and rehaul from what we implemented as a trial basis during COVID. It is, I would say, both more restrictive and more open at the same time. It's got more, I would say, what's it? You're responsible.
You're more accountable.
Yeah, it's got way more accountability. Matter of fact, we've already had at least one employee that I know of, maybe more than one, that wasn't meeting productivity expectations, and their telecommuting has been removed immediately. And it's basically, when we unrolled this thing, I was in every Zoom meeting, and basically that was a message I was sent, is there's gonna be more flexibility, but more accountability. And that accountability is gonna be upfront, and that's the first thing that's going to go away. So that's kind of what we did. However, it doesn't mean, it still doesn't need refining, because this is our first official telecommuting policy. And as you know, even though we check with other agencies, for our industry, it's still fairly new. So there's still probably lessons learned and growing pains to go through.
Cool, I'll check it closer and give you any
Yeah,
feedback.
appreciate that.
But we
Thank you.
definitely utilize the take it back when we're not producing.
Good.
So,
Glad to hear that.
yeah, absolutely.
Now, this policy was developed based on the data collected during the pilot, is that right?
Somewhat. So what happened during the pilot was we weren't really prepared for telecommuting. So
Nobody was.
yeah, this is no fault. This is
Yeah.
not the previous general manager's fault. It's not so we implemented it kind of hodgepodge, and then had to come up with the IT solutions to make it work afterwards. And the expectations of productivity weren't coupled with telecommuting because we had to just telecommute and we had to shut down because of COVID outbreak and everything else. So we had to really reel that back and get new expectations for our employee base. Say, hey, if you're telecommuting, the expectation is you could do your work. So, one of the things is I can't do that because I'm telecommuting. That term
That-
cannot
yeah,
ever, that's a term that, that's a reason you can't telecommute.
Right.
So it's been kind of a reprogram of how we approach it and how we think about it. And so there was a training with management, there's a training with supervisors to make sure that not only are we applying it consistently, the messaging is consistently and the employees take it in, and employees take advantage of it. It's the first thing that's taken away. So
And if we have an event or something and it's all hands on deck, I don't want to hear that you're working from home. All hands on deck means I need you in the office this day. I mean, we've actually called people in to say, no, we have a meeting, it's in person, we can't do this on the Zoom, you need to come in. We've called people in.
Yeah.
Like, we don't mess around with that.
Now the flip side is the flexibility I was added is if your supervisor says, hey, there's something important to come in today, I'll give you a different day off to telecommute
Not a-
on that
yeah,
day.
different
I'll allow you
work
to
day.
telecommute on that day instead.
Yeah.
So that's the additional flexibility I was given, and it was given more at the supervisor and manager level. Everything before funneled to the GM. So
Yeah, we want to make sure our supervisors and managers are accountable and responsible in making some of these decisions.
Yeah, I appreciate the accountability and sort of the level setting the expectations. I also want to comment though that working from home allows a lot more flexibility in the workforce. So I think that we saw that during COVID, and I'm not sure that we want to go back to exactly what we were doing before COVID. So I think that there's a balance, and let's keep the conversation open. It sounds like you've been strategic about it, and you've got the carrot and the stick. And I think to most reasonable employees that will work out fine. I think people appreciate being able to work from home every now and then, and people like to be in the office, and there are things that you can do face to face that you can't do.
That's right.
and the industry is pivoting because a lot of like City of San Diego have their whole workforce, administrative workforce working from home, and then they called everybody back. So they weren't getting job work done. So
Yeah. I
so
think
that's one of the
there's
things
a
we always
balance. Yeah, there's a balance, and I think that like I said, I don't think we necessarily need to go back to work for COVID because that may not have been working for a lot of people.
But I think holding people accountable
I
is
think
really the
that's
key.
That's the primary mission.
Yeah.
without a doubt, yeah.
Yeah,
And
so
we're
we should
small
get the
enough
work
that
done.
we can. We have enough employees where we should have oversight. So,
Yeah, just make sure that the work gets done. Okay, any other comments?
Just thanks for providing this. I'll do some nighttime reading and try to make some notes on it. And, if I see
might
anything
fall
else.
asleep quickly.
It's all right. I
Only
like reading
HR
boring
people
stuff.
really get into that.
I know, it's only Bridget and I that think about it.
Well, I'm glad you do, and clearly you put a lot of effort into it, so thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
I'll stay for the rest.
moving on.
Thank you.
Summer
Bridget.
Fest,
Thank you, Bridget.
BWD Summer Fest Fire.
Yeah, I'm gonna hand this over to Chris to hopefully give us an update on it.
So the really good news is that I have a wet signature from the fire chief.
Wow, that's
So, but I
great.
don't have it, so I have to go get it. I have to go get it.
Where do you have to go?
But, just over to the city hall. But I've been bird dogging this for a while, and so
know.
finally there's an ink wet signature, so I'll bring it back. It
Okay,
changes signature, and then I'll do publicity. on it.
Yeah, so then we just gotta get the joint press release going on it, and then after that, it's just social media and website advertising and everything else, so.
okay, well, that's great. And is it materially different from what you had submitted before?
No.
Do you think we'll have to go through the similar lengthy process to sign up on the press release?
So
I'm hoping.
I'm not sure they're as excited about doing a press release, so maybe we just have to do our own.
Yeah, okay.
That's kind of my take on it. So if you don't want to do that, then that's fine, but we'll probably do that, so.
So we'll probably we'll see what it takes. We'll go ahead and give it a shot to see if they're willing to do a joint. If they're not, then we'll develop something on our own. So it'll take a little bit before it's out there in the public, but we're gonna get it out there this year.
Okay, good. Well, I'm really happy to hear that. Thanks for your work and your diligence on that. This has been a long time coming. I think it's a great offering to our community, and we should promote it. I can't remember exactly what the letter says, but are we pushing out any kind of mechanism to suggest that people show it to their homeowners insurance company and see what happens?
Yeah, we're gonna be very careful about the words we choose. But it's gonna be like, here are some of the things that we've done in this region to help with fire safety. Here's a letter that you could use that you may submit to your, it may or may not help you. So
Yeah.
we're gonna be very kind of careful about the wordings we choose, but the message is gonna be like, this is available to you. We don't know if it'll help, but by all means, try to use it.
It's a
So.
resource.
Yeah, and then we'll go with that, and the city was very careful about that, cause, uh, one of the things, that was brought up by Director Panic was that if you have a fire smart community, then that also helps with the insurance rates, but San Marcos has said, we don't actually have any fire smart communities that
They're
are listening.
trying,
They're trying.
but they're not there
What
yet.
is it, I mean, this is, maybe you don't know, but what is a fire smart community? What are the criteria for that?
You know, it's kind of like a certification, like a lot of certifications where if you do this, and this, then you can be.
And who certifies it, do you know?
So it's done originally by the development, like through the HOA, and they meet all these different criteria, so it's designed in. So for example, every single house is fire sprinkler, well, you know, nowadays it is, cause that's the rule, but if you have a community that's, you know, older.
Yeah.
Well, not even that old, early 2000s, you wouldn't, if you're mid 2010 or above, then you would. Then it's a certain amount of, you know, basically fire hydrants and different things in the area. There's also the landscaping requirements, so it's a holistic approach.
Yeah.
To the whole community, and it had to be done from the city planning stage with the HOA, before really with the developer, to really meet that criteria, so. Matter of fact, it never happened, but Newland Sierra, because they had one way in, one way out, was required to be a fire smart community. Because they only had one way in, one way out, and they had the shelter in place. It was the strategy in case of a wildfire.
The
was-
trade-off?
Yeah, so they had to be, so so their designs were really robust from a fire protection standpoint and from a landscape, and then also their fire breaks. You know, the HOA had to take more open space and basically have fire breaks, you know, stuff like that. So.
Okay, well, so we'll just, I guess,
We'll get the letter and then we'll work on a press
we'll
release,
watch
yeah.
for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but just to have a little patience, because it still may take time, we'll still try and get a joint letter, because I think that's more impactful.
We got the joint letter, we
Sorry,
want like a
joint,
joint press
that's what I
release,
meant, yeah, you're right, thank you, and then, but if not, then we'll go on.
Yeah, okay. Well, thank you. I know that this has been months in the making, and I appreciate your.
Bird dog in it.
You have.
I'm a boss, we call it that.
Bird dog in
Yeah, and you just keep bugging somebody.
it.
Hey,
Don't forget me.
hey,
Okay, all right, anything else on that?
Nope.
Okay. All right. More happy.
Yeah, so Water County's coming up on the 17th, as we already kind of preluded before the meeting started. There's no bus tour this year, so we'd let people know. So one of the things that I've asked Chris to do is set up a meeting between the key staff members to go over the logistics, the presentations, because it's different this year, so it's not quite on autopilot. Although I think Chris and Ed and everybody have it down, maybe they just have to inform me, so I'm the last to know.
right,
So, but that's okay, it'll ease my anxiety about it, and then really, it's still gonna be provided lunch, we're encouraging all board members to attend. There'll be an opportunity at the beginning, before the presentation, for any board member who wants to address the crowd, and then we'll go into our introductory presentations before we split off into different groups. For a tour, it'll be more of an open house type event.
Yeah.
Really, the details of that is really Chris and his team have been working on the details. Chris, you would like to fill in the blanks for me?
so, and just for both of you, typically, we're on such a pressed schedule, trying to make sure everything lines up with a bus tour and trying to get it done by a given time. There's not as much of a crush on that. So even in the early morning, as we start those presentations, things can start to snowball and I've got to reel those things back in. Not the same pressure this time. So a lot of times all the board members will want to get up and speak to the crowd. And usually I'm trying to get them to stop because I've got other presentations to make, but there's not that crush. So, you want to take a few minutes.
We have
and
bumper
talk
music
through.
like the academy.
Yeah, we don't, play the music to get you off the stage, right?
So
So there's more time for you to talk.
I
We'll
don't know
be-
that that's necessarily a good thing.
I'm not, I mean, we don't want a 10-minute presentation, but, usually I'm trying to limit it to like 20 seconds or something like that, but.
We have a
Yeah.
couple of minutes,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
1 minute or
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
and you wanna say at 8.
The other good opportunity is lunchtime. At lunchtime, there's good opportunity. We encourage all the staff to not sit together and mingle with the residents that come to the tour. And then, of course, any board members there, they can do the same, so.
Yeah, so lunch is also a good time to interact. So guests will start to show up at 8:30, but it's an early arriving crowd. It's a lot of seniors, and so they'll get here at 8. So if you want to be out front, and shake hands with people and introduce yourself, that's a good chance to do that. Be there at 8 o'clock at a parking spot. We will have some videos that we're showing, which is a little different. We have played them typically on the bus ride in the past. And there's value to that, but there's also, people they're riding the bus, they may have somebody and they tend to just talk to their partner, whoever's on the bus with them, rather than really watch what's on the video. So, looking a little forward to, having kind of a captive audience to show some of the videos, the history of the district, Twin Oaks tanks. I think we're going to show Mar Reservoir because that's something that we really don't delve into very often. It's just kind of gets lost. But Alicia made a really nice video a few years back on Mar Reservoir. So that will be there as well. And
Plus you'll see a younger James and younger Ed.
Wow.
right, yeah. And
Different titles and everything.
and we'll have some different rotations that we're doing. There's wrenches in my plans already. Chris Tapia is leading us for UEMA.
He's
And-
leaving?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Well, he got like
Ops
From
manager
ops
job.
manager job, so
But I
I knew he
drove,
was too good.
that's a good promotion for him. But I
Happy
think
for him,
UEMA
but sad
has
for us.
like
Yes,
10 people or something like that.
there's
So,
eight people total in the whole agency.
right? So yeah, if you're the O&M manager,
He's in charge of
you're in
4.
charge of 4 people or something like that. So
Well,
But,
as I said, we wish him well and then
yeah,
hurry back.
Well, I
right?
told him, I said, go get your experience, and when there's an opportunity, come back.
Yeah, yeah. So there's a few wrenches in it. We will be serving lunch. It's a really good time to interact with the customers. And I kind of give a little briefing to staff beforehand to really, I want them to sit down and eat with the customers, give them a chance to ask questions that maybe they don't want to ask in front of the crowd or whatever. And also give them a heads up that, hey, help clear plates and ask them if they want a second drink and all that kind of fun stuff.
Do you want to maybe consider breaking it up so like if all directors come in order to avoid Brown Act stuff, 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, or
No,
lunch or something like that?
The Brown Act violation won't happen as long as we don't talk shop, because it just like going to a conference or if there's a scheduled event and the event is noticed and everything. So as long as there's no agenda or shop, so
I mean, the whole thing is shop though, is the problem.
yeah, but as long as the board members aren't talking shop, so it's the biggest thing. So if there's 3 or more board members, I'll be cruising around just making sure and
Yeah.
probably, checking in on conversations, so. And the other managers have been kind of instructed the same, because we've had 3 or more board members at water counties in the past, so.
It's a good opportunity for people to ask questions.
Yeah.
Of the experts, not of us, and then we have to ask you all.
Yeah, well, it's, I honestly, I think it's one of the best parts about the day is just letting them eat with staff.
Mhm. It humanizes the
Yeah,
water
yeah.
district.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes the water district seem less like a
Bureaucracy.
bureaucracy and a public agency that
Yeah,
no one
most
cares about their rates, it humanizes.
most people walk away from it and saying, we had no idea how much effort and how well you guys do your job and, now, and they at least joke and say, I'll never complain about rates again. So that thing, so.
That's happened.
Okay. Yeah, and just, so that the staff can share their expertise, because it's so impressive, it's really impressive. So, okay,
Got two things in mind real quick that just came to mind. One, at the end, it would be great if we could just mention, if you had a great time in the store, if you learned more, maybe consider leaving a review for the district, to help improve our
Yeah,
reputation
sure.
would be great. And the other thing would be, some form of a segment about addressing things that have happened in the community recently in terms of pipes breaking and stuff like that, and how we've proactively addressed them so people know what's going on in their areas.
And then there'll also be a little giveaway, right?
Oh, yeah.
So we love the irony of giving a little bit of you back to you. So we'll be giving away some True Green fertilizer from Encina, which is made
It's
from.
hilarious.
I love
But it's
that.
funny because they
Yes.
won.
Can I have two? People ask for 2 bags. So Ed and I always give them away and
do you
say,
really say that
we
line?
really do say that.
Okay. Make Ed say that.
Yeah, we do say that. So by the end of the tour, they usually get educated. This will be made a little different because they didn't go to metal arts.
Yeah.
You'll see it, yeah.
So
If we know the date that you're going to do your TED Talk
mhm.
about the ductile iron pipe project, if we know that date,
We can
by the
advertise it, yeah.
17th, we could advertise it, we give away a flyer, or make sure that we talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Try to get people to come to that too.
Okay.
Yeah, because of all the between the main breaks and the pipeline assessment program, we're gonna probably host a educational seminar where we'll talk about, why do these mains break? What was the mechanism? What are we doing? How do we fix them? Which is a multiple step process because people don't understand. We do a temporary repair to get you back in water. We come back later and make everything pretty. Because at 2 a.m. we just want to get you back in water before you wake up in the morning. So and then obviously the condition assessment is, as you know, is related, but not directly as a result of that break.
That would be great for citizens to learn in this county, especially because it's happening in the community.
So we're trying to schedule that the end of this month or beginning of next month, hopefully. So
But it's a good opportunity to advertise that, and we
Yeah.
should know the date for the 17th.
we're hoping, if not, we'll still advertise it's coming.
Okay.
I'll probably Chris make an announcement that it's coming. We'll be doing a hosted event that's coming, and so keep an eye out for it.
Okay. Alright. Anything else? Okay, great, we're adjourned.
Thank you.
Sweet.
Thank you.